3 news stories where each one of them, you can see the Marxist left shifting the blame for the individual to the oppressor or the system of oppression. We have the issue of Lindsay Clancy, we have Karmelo Anthony, and we have the most recent story about the British anti-rape pamphlets. What do all of these have in common? That's a good question, Mr. Producer. I'm glad you asked. And we're going to get into why they all have the same root cause. We'll talk about the stories, but I want to zoom out a little bit more to the macro today. And you can consider this a part 2 to our last episode, where we spoke about the issue of the material versus the immaterial. I think you're going to find it interesting. Also, the history of cards. You're going to want to stick around for that. Cards and card games, some shenanigans with Steve, some great song review material, and God willing, we'll finish off these Screw Tape letters today. You do not want to miss any of it. Stick around for Further Everyday. Jonathan Fiala sitting back in the chair of philosophy. How are you today, Miss Nikki?
Good. Good to be back. Been off a couple weeks, but we're
glad you're here.
Yes.
Chair of Theology. To my left, I have Charlie, who is not here yet. He's running a bit late. He had some responsibilities that he's getting to. He'll be here shortly. How's it going, Steve?
Man, it is going fantastic, John Arthur, and I am ready to do some shenanigans today, brother.
I believe it. Ryan, how's it going?
I'm good. Feels good to be back.
I'm glad to be back. So we had some illness. I had a car accident where the car turned 5 times over due to hitting road debris, and we were towing a trailer. So by the grace of God, everyone walked away. Mm-hmm. The insurance adjusters, the police, the paramedics, and the firefighters all said, my gosh, this is a miracle. We got to say, yes, God is good. So in all things, give thanks. Insurance is always fun, though.
Brother, all the time.
But God is good. God is good. We're alive. And actually, we do have a cool adjuster, so thank God for that. I think things are going to go okay. We'll see how much we can recover. Anyway, sad, frustrating week. Definitely still sore from that. And of course, we had some illness on this side. So we're back, finally, after 2 weeks. So let's talk about suicidal empathy in the West. And we're going to have a look at what's happening with all of these different cases. I think you're going to find this to be an interesting deep dive. We're going to go into the Lindsay Clancy case. We're going to go into the retrial, potentially, of Karmelo Anthony. And we're going to go into the British issue. So real quick, before we go too far, Miss Nikki, had you heard about the Lindsay Clancy case before?
More than I want.
You're a thank you, Mr. Producer. You are a true crime drama aficionado.
I am.
And I think part of that, part of the culture's obsession with Lindsay Clancy case is partly driven by our obsession with true crime.
Well, I would agree with that. I think some true crime is based on reality. Some of it is not. But everybody loves a conspiracy. Mm-hmm. And we are in a system right now in society where everybody's looking for the conspiracy. Now, I will just say this. I've made this accusation, but some of the things that have come out with the government, Dr. Fauci, some of the other things that have come out since Trump has taken office, we realize that, yes, conspiracies sometimes really do exist.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. And sometimes the conspiracy theorists are right. Actually, many, many times. There are a lot of bad things that are happening in the world. I don't know about the Lindsay Clancy case being one of them. So it is interesting. Let's go ahead and get into the slides, Mr. Producer. So real quick, we're going to go over a few things today. And primarily, I want to look at the overall suicide of the West due to this sick, toxic empathy. Go ahead. So we're going to look at the death of responsibility today and how that has a very, very unique and important, I believe, affectation or issue within the Christian moral ethic, and how we are seeing responsibility or agency being removed from the individual and put onto the so-called victim, really the criminal. In Massachusetts, we're looking at a mother who is on trial for strangling her 3 children. The defense case is that she is not criminally responsible because she was on 13 psychiatric meds. We're going to get to that. Next one, we have a 17-year-old stabbed by another 17-year-old, and he was convicted of murder. They're looking at potentially retrying this because of quote unquote systemic racism is ultimately the charge. Ultimately, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty of it. The next one is the Home Office of Public Relations Affairs in the UK publishes a book this year, and it's hit the news, on asylum seekers maybe getting deported, maybe having their asylum claim removed if they rape a UK woman. Okay, and they have to define consent by who they're bringing in. And they have to keep doing this because of the oppression of quote unquote colonialism. They are guilty of colonialism. At least that is what is being ultimately foisted upon the British people. So let's go ahead and look at why this is happening. Let's look at America's views on right and wrong. And I actually want to kind of home in on this. 55% of Americans believe right and wrong depends upon the situation, situational ethics. This is according to a Pew Research trend. 44% believe that there are clear and absolute standards for right and wrong. Americans who say you do not need to believe in a God to be moral went from 49% in 2011 to 68% in 2025. In the UK, it is 77% believe that you do not need to be a moral or a godly person to be a moral person. Okay. Now, I actually want to go to the definition of virtue. And for that, I'd like to go ahead and appeal to Augustine. So he says this, Augustine of Hippo articulated it this way. So that it would seem to me that it is a brief but true definition of virtue to say it is the order of love. And he went on further to say this, he neither loves what he ought not to love, nor fails to love what he ought to love, nor loves that more which ought to be loved less, nor loves that equally which ought to be loved either less or more. In other words, the order of loves. And by the way, I really love J.D. Vance for bringing this into the public zeitgeist with the Ordo Amori. I really do appreciate that. And to go further with this, Aquinas actually commentated on this, going further to say, we must therefore say, even as it regards the affection, we ought to love one neighbor more than another. We ought to be the most beneficent towards those who are most closely connected with us. He's saying you cannot have love on this abstract scale. Love is both, there is a basic moral decency that is afforded to all people. However, you do need to love and specifically work to the people that God has put in your life. You have a calling, an obligation. They have an actual, you have an order of loves, should I dare say it. So, and again, to go on to the Ordo Amori, and go ahead and throw that up, Mr. Producer. Thank you, sir. The order of love. Charity is not a flat feeling that's spread evenly across everyone. It is ordered, and you are called to specifically put out love towards those nearest or closest to relation to you. That includes your family, so a husband to his wife, then to their children, then to their extended family, then to their countrymen, and then to all men. And it's not that you love other men less, it's that the affectation, the benefits of love are ultimately stacked at those closest to you, the ones that you can change. I can't change the plight of those in Ethiopia right now, or in some of these nations that we're pulling in. And in fact, if I try to bring them in en masse, I will have a destructive atmosphere. I need to make sure that I hold that. That's the issue with immigration. One is not called to treat everyone with the same priority. That is not love. That is disordered or disordered love. And maybe in the future we'll get to Lewis's Four Loves, because it is a very, very good book. We actually have a quote from it here. Now, I want to define suicidal empathy here. And I would define it this way. The twisting of the storge love, the familiar love. If you want to look to the Greek, there's a word storge. It's the word used for family, familial love, or for those who were close in your presence. The twisting of storge love resulting in a sort of empathy for the guilty, mercy for those who should be convicted, and ultimately cruelty to the innocent. It's a disordered love. And we're looking at a suicidal empathy. And a lot of these women who are in America today, they've delayed childbirth. Not all, not all, not all. I think, and you can speak to this, Miss Nikki, having children changes your understanding of the world.
Yes.
Does it not?
Yes, it does.
I think it absolutely changes how you see things
Yes.
and who you are going to go to bat for.
Yes.
And I think we've robbed women of that by saying, freeze your eggs, it'll be okay. And it turns out they get to that age and their eggs are frozen and then they have miscarriage after miscarriage.
Well, not only that, but sometimes time starts running out for them. They're building their careers. Careers are going very well. So they keep putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. And then when they realize that my biological clock is running out,
Yes.
then there's no man involved. Sometimes they're not involved with anybody, and
Correct.
they get nervous. Women get nervous at a certain time, realizing if this doesn't happen in the next couple of years, it may not happen at all.
Indeed. Indeed. In fact, statistically, you're 30%, 30 years old, no children, not married. You are 50-50 on having kids.
I believe
as
that.
a woman
I believe that.
In today's day and age. And so I like Sons of Liberty 1776 on PSB's Live, pathological altruism. I think that's a very, very good summation of suicidal empathy. Next cut, Mr. Producer. Thank you, sir. Very, very good. So Lewis warned of love becoming an idol. Love ceases to be a demon only when he ceases to be a god. This is from The Four Loves. And actually, he's quoting Denis de Roquemont. And really, really, really solid thought here. Love can become an idol. The most precious of things without Christ can become an idol. And I think we've seen that happen in our society. We're going to look at the perverse love of these women who are coming to Lindsay Clancy's defense, not because they believe she's innocent, but because they believe that they too could just as easily do the same thing as Lindsay Clancy. And we'll get to that in a little bit. I think we want to be very, very careful about what we say here. And we'll get to that. But love can become a false idol. So let's go ahead and get into our first case. Case one in Duxbury, Massachusetts. Let's go ahead and play this next clip, Mr. Producer, and I want you all to react to this. These are women who are lining up outside of the courthouse in support of Lindsay Clancy. Go ahead and roll it, Mr. Producer.
An astounding show of support today for Lindsay Clancy. Hundreds of women, all dressed in pink, cheered the accused mom as she arrived in a police caravan for her murder trial. Supporters ran across the field to greet Lindsay. Some came with their babies. They held up heart hands during a silent rally for the mom who strangled her 3 young children, then jumped from the second-floor window, leaving her paralyzed for life.
It's a buzz around here, guys.
Fox News legal analyst Chanley Painter, a former prosecutor, actually wore pink in her live report as she spoke to Lindsay's defense attorney, who was greeted with cheers.
Hey, guys, what do you think of the support for Lindsay Clancy out here?
I have no words.
No words?
It's amazing.
It echoes last year's Free Karen Reed campaign.
Sad.
Those supporters also wore pink. She was acquitted of murdering her cop boyfriend. The rally for Lindsay Clancy is not just in Plymouth, Massachusetts, where the trial is being held. There are gatherings across the USA today, including here in New York in Union Square. Actress Alyssa Milano today is joining the chorus of Lindsay Clancy's sympathizers.
She jumps on every
She
bandwagon.
revealed,
She
"I
does.
stayed in a public psychiatric ward for 3 days after the birth of her son." But others are taking to social media to express shock over the display of support for 36-year-old Lindsay. Are people really cheering for someone who murdered her kids? 3 babies were strangled. What? Today in court, the judge called up each juror one by one for a private conversation. It's not known what was discussed, but we do know that the jury saw Lindsay's army of supporters as they entered the courthouse. The lone witness today was a hospital chaplain who testified what Lindsay told her after her breathing tube was removed. 8 days after she killed her children.
She alluded to having heard a voice.
This is important.
And the voice, according to Lindsay, told her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe.
Would be what?
Would be safe. Thank you, Mr. Producer. So I want to pull back for just a moment. I don't want to dwell too long on this, but I do want to pull back, and I want to get everyone's thoughts on this. So I want to start with Nikki, and then I want to go to Steve.
Well, I think one of the things here is there's always a right is right and wrong is wrong. And I do have a little bit of opinion here.
Yeah.
Many years ago here in Houston, I get a phone call from my sister. And my sister said, "Where are your children?" And I said, "Well, they're right here." And she goes, "I just heard a woman in Houston just killed her 5 children." I had 5 children. So she knew that I hadn't killed her children, but it just shook her a little bit. That was Andrea Yates. Andrea Yates had the same similar situation that Lindsay Clancy does here. She was found not guilty by insanity, but she was sentenced to a mental hospital. Yeah. And I don't know where she is today. I think she may still be in that mental hospital.
I don't think you come back from this. I'm sorry, because if 1 out of 4 women or young mothers are on, it is 13% overall of the female population are on, pause that real quick, sorry, sir, are on these, then you can literally plead insanity. There's a lot of women in Clancy's exact predicament right now who have not killed their kids. What I would say is, I think pharma has made it so much harder.
Okay, and that's where I was going to go next. Now, here's the problem that I have. First off, there's 3 children that need justice. Okay,
yes.
There's 3 children that need justice. I will say that this defense lawyer has done his job. Yeah. He has created doubt, and that's what his job is. He's done a wonderful job. He's got social media now. A lot of it is social media hype.
Yep.
You need to keep that
in mind.
Now, I'm looking at this from all different sides. I will tell you that I had 5 children, and you always get the blues. I always call it you just kind of get that depression. I never had anything serious. I never wanted to kill my kids. It never went to that. So I really don't relate to what.
But you're also a different type of person, and that's where I'm saying you have to keep your thought life buttoned down. You can't roam in those areas.
You can't roam now.
All of us have intrusive thoughts, and the more medication you're on, the lower your barrier.
Yes.
So you need to be very concerned. I'm not saying everyone on SSRIs, I'm not talking to you. I'm not saying that you're going to cap off and kill someone. That's not what I'm saying. But you do need to figure out why you're on SSRIs, and you need to be on them as long as necessary, as short as possible.
Okay, and I think here's another thing.
Huge pause there, and I do want to keep going, so don't dwell too long, because I want to recap.
No, but here's another point. In my early 40s, I thought I was going through premenopause, and somebody said, "Go take this over-the-counter hormone therapy." And I was on it for a very short period of time and found myself, and just somebody would do something, I would be raging mad. I mean, it was totally out of character for me. And I went, "Oh, this is awful," and went off it. So I can relate to a lot of things, but 13 medications, you're a nurse.
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong somewhere.
We're going to go over that timeline.
Okay.
We're going to go over that timeline. That's why I wanted to pause you. I didn't want to go too long, because I just want to get your brief thoughts on that. And then I want to go to Steve real quick, because I do want to get into the timeline, and I want to string this out a little bit more, because we are disassociating. I'm sorry, you still have control over what you do. You still have agency. You may have less control. And that's that's why we should be saying, how many people do we have on SSRIs? Should we reconsider how often we prescribe them?
Absolutely.
It's a question that should be answered.
Yeah. I raised 7 kids. 5 were boys. I probably should have been on SSRIs.
No.
But after that, no problems there.
You made it through without killing them.
I made it through, no problems.
And you had a divorce in the middle of this, and you had all this other stuff going on.
All other kinds of stuff, medical problems, and hey.
And by the way, it's degrading to women to say, "Oh, she was having partum psychosis 8 months. 8 months was how old that baby was that she strangled for up to 5 minutes. We're going to get to it. That's how long it takes to
And you
kill a
want to
baby
know
with
something
with a band.
about strangulation? It is the worst
Way to
form
go.
of murder because it is so
Brutal.
not just brutal, but it is one of the most types of murders where you are so face to face with a
your
person.
mom. With
Right.
your mom. And this
With your mother.
Three and a
mother.
5-year-old.
Exactly.
3 and a
You are
5-year-old.
so face to face, and it is so personal of a type of murder when
Yeah.
you're strangling someone.
It's
the worst type of murder you can commit.
That's where I have a serious issue. And so, Mr. Producer, go ahead and hit the advance button to go to the next slide because I want to keep rolling here. I want to go to the timeline of what she was prescribed, when she was. And you can go and pull up the full-size view there. Thank you, sir. So I want to go through this because what we're looking at is a number of different practitioners, and this is the timeline. So go ahead and start running through. Seeks psychiatric care in mid-October of 2022. She gets Zoloft, 25 milligrams up to 50. In October 20th, 2022, she gets Ativan and Benadryl added to her cocktail. In November 16th, 2022, she gets admitted to the emergency room. Trazodone up to 150 milligram. 25 of November, Ambien, Remeron, and Clonopin. Okay, I have a hard time pronouncing these, all in one day from the second prescriber. In 29th of November 2022, Seroquel, an antipsychotic, up to 400 milligrams daily from a third prescriber. December 2022, her mother testifies that she disclosed thoughts of harming the children. Depression scale score 23, which is severe. That's considered very, very high. In the 3rd of January, 2023, the McLean Hospital records records an absence of psychosis or active suicidal ideation. And then the 16th through the 23rd of January, she's on amitriptyline and then buciperon twice in 2 weeks, okay? On the day itself, let's go ahead and walk through this. This is why I do blame her. I do blame her. Go ahead and pull up the next cut. On the day itself, you'll see this. At 4:13 in the afternoon, her phone searched a restaurant on Apple Maps. She then texted her husband, proposing takeout, ordered it herself in his name at 5:10, and then at 5:15 added an additional CVS stop that had not been discussed. She's adding time, and she's seeing exactly how long it'll take him to get home. Next one. She then took her 3 children to the basement and wrapped an exercise band around their throats. Okay? Forensic pathologist, by the way, this is where the defense really failed. He should have left this pathologist alone. He opened up the can of worms, took 20 minutes. It was brutal to listen to. I don't even want to think about what I heard. The forensic pathologist called by the defense testified that unconsciousness follows in 5 to 20 seconds, but death takes up to 5 minutes per child, and you have to actively hold the band. She sat there, looked at her children. I don't know if she looked into their eyes. I don't know how she looked for 5 minutes, up to 3 different children, 3, 5, and an 8-month-old, looking into their eyes, looking at the back of their head. I don't know what she was looking at. I don't know what was going on, but that is more than I'm mad at you, kid. It's more than just a frustration. That is I timed out how long it would take my husband to get home, and I wrapped the band around my child's throat, and I sat there choking out my child for up to 5 minutes per child.
Staring in their face.
For all we know, right? So continuing on, she then slits her wrists and her throat. By the way, this is a very, very sorry, I should have said, if you got kids in the room, okay? She unalives herself, or tries to, right? She then throws herself off the second-story window, and she is paralyzed from the waist down. Allegedly, there were also pills involved, although there are some conflicts on that. I'm just going to say she definitely had here and here and here, and she threw herself off. She did not manage to off herself, and now she is standing trial. I can have sympathy for this woman while also saying she needs to hang. I can hold both things, right? Whatever is wrong in her life that is so bad that she has to, she sits there and whatever her reasoning is, and the voices in the head scare me, by the way. I think drugs are a pathway to opening your mind up to demons.
I
Don't know.
I agree. I think she is being spoke to by demons. And that's the only way that something like this could happen, that she would off her own children. I mean, your own children, man.
Up to 5 minutes apiece. Okay, it's 15
Your
minutes.
own children,
And they're conscious. They're alive. They're awake. Two of them are old enough to say, "Mommy, what are you doing?" Holy freaking crap, Batman! Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, what am I hearing? So there's two aspects of this. Is she guilty of insanity? 1, 2. What do you do for society when you allow this to continue to happen over and over again? You get copycats. You say it's okay.
You know, you can never say it's okay.
Never.
There's got to be justice.
There
we have
has to
3
be.
dead children. There's got to be justice. You
There's
can never
yes,
say it's
those,
okay.
Those 3 have got to have justice.
She can never have a life outside of some sort of prison or insane asylum or
Correct.
something like that. I don't care if 13 medications. I'm sorry. I would be nuts. I would
Correct.
be nuts.
My grandmother got this treatment. She got 70 medications at the same time.
Yeah, you told me about that.
And she was basically comatose. A lot of them were psychoactive to counteract all of the other normal blood pressure and other meds, because doctors don't talk. So there's 2 things that people are conflating. And the women at these marches are saying, "Oh, it could have been me." I sure hope it's not. If it is you, you need to go talk to your pastor, your priest, and you need to talk maybe not to a shrink even. Maybe you need to talk to an exorcist. That's crazy.
Here's the thing is that we have heard these stories before about women who kill their children and come to find out they were depressed and people weren't paying attention to them. And what happens to the family? The people are like, why didn't the family intervene? Why didn't the family do this? Now, I don't know the whole story here.
Let me tell you. Next slide, Mr. Producer. 13 medications, 5 doctors. Okay? 5 different doctors, 0 coordination between them all over 4 months. Her mother and her husband said, "Do you need a break? Do we need to take you somewhere?" And she said no, right? And so she continued.
You know what I'd be really worried about? In that crowd with women that have got strollers and babies.
That's insane.
That are sitting there cheering this lady on.
They're
insane.
encouraging
the husbands of those women that have got babies there in strollers going, "Yay, yay, yay." If I was the husband of that woman,
Divorce.
I'd be concerned. I'd divorce her and take my child and say, "You don't need this kid because this is putting this child's
You think it's acceptable?
life in danger."
Maybe not divorce, but pretty good. I mean, you're on the track. This is a marriage-ending thing. If you continue to say, "It could have been me,"
yes,
oh my
right.
gosh, so
that is big time
I will tell
worry.
you
I have
this.
I have sympathy. But
Yeah.
you can have sympathy and say it's wrong. Those 2 are
right.
not mutually exclusive.
Right.
So I do want to say that 13 medications scare the daylights out of me, but Charlie would not allow me to be on 13 medications. He would fight.
There's
when
no common sense anymore.
when there are certain things that Charlie's going to say, "Well, you make your decision." There are certain things he's not. And when it comes to something like this, he would not allow me to be on 13 medications. He would be like, I mean, it was a big deal when we have 2 children that had to go on antidepressants, and one of them really suffered big time. And we watched that child, and that
Like a
child is
hawk.
fine today. That child is perfectly fine, and no longer on medication.
Just to be clear, like we said, as long as necessary, as short as possible.
Yeah,
No one
yeah.
on this panel is saying no meds ever, ever.
They're not saying that, but we're just saying that anybody in their right mind would realize that 13 medications
Is too much.
and to me it's like, should they not be held responsible?
Yeah. Yeah, because you can your justice system is immediately defunct. And speaking of that, let's keep plowing
Go.
through. So prosecution rested on the 17th of August. Defense rested on the 21st. Rebuttal is underway and closing arguments are expected this coming week. Outcome to follow. Now, this is what the clinicians testified, okay? Every treating clinician who saw her before the deaths testified that she showed no signs of psychosis. That's important, by the way. That's really important considering the fact that she Apple mapped
Who said
how
that?
long. These are all the clinicians that saw her. And she didn't even speak of the voices until after the event.
Okay.
Okay. So that's really important data. Every treating clinician who saw her before the deaths testified that she showed no signs of psychosis. Toxicology was negative, and prescribed drugs were within therapeutic ranges. So she didn't OD, all right, on psychotropics. Now, this is really important. The voice, when it appeared, was at the day of. She reported on hearing a commanding voice about 13 days after the killings. She admitted, or she said 13 days after the killings, that she heard a voice telling her to do it. 2 of 79 witnesses testified to it. No contemporaneous medical records show auditory hallucinations previous to the murder of the children. So that's really important, is that this happened on the outset. And this is where I want to come back to. You are responsible for your actions, but man, some of these medications, I just want to ask the question, do they make you more pliable to the spiritual realm? Is that why pharmakia, the sin of witchcraft, is so scary?
Yes.
I'm not all, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you need to treat this with a lot of concern. If you're on meds, see how soon you can get off with your doctor's help, under proper medical care, consult your physician, right? But we should be looking at these not as a long-term care. It should be something, if you do it at all, I'm so against medication like that. Personally, I want to avoid it. But if I had to go on it, I would want to get off it as fast as possible.
Yes.
Here's something that I completely agree with, especially since I have been sober for 27 years now. Dearman writes this
On PSB's live chat.
on PSB Live Chat. Alcohol are called spirits for a real reason.
That's a true. That's a true statement.
I
Yes.
totally
will
agree.
agree with you on that, Dearman, because I was an alcoholic for more than 27 years.
There's a reason why it says, be not filled with wine, but filled with the Holy Spirit.
Amen on
That
that.
is
brother.
that is the point, and that is the purpose, and that's why I don't do weed. I don't do nose candy. I have a lot of friends that do. I have immediate access to any of it anytime I want. I could go bang on someone's door and ask them, you know why I don't want it? My gosh, I want to be filled with the Spirit. I don't want to be filled with a spirit. Okay, that's it. And we need to be cautious about what we allow to fill ourselves. Now, where some people are really getting concerned is the fundraiser. So let's look at the Musgrove Family Fund and go ahead and click that button, Mr. Producer, and you will see $1.02 million raised out of a $2 million goal. Contributions will help cover the accumulated cost of travel, lodging, living expenses, and other family expenses arising from their continued support of Lindsay through her case. At least that is what is said on the GoFundMe. And go ahead, Mr. Producer. And it was launched on the 16th of August, 2026. During the trial, this is a year of our Lord, 2026, August 23rd. Just a couple of days later, we're already over $1 million raised. Wow. This GoFundMe culture, whether it is, what's her name, Shyla Hendricks, whether it's Karmelo Anthony, whether it's Lindsay, it's kind of concerning that people can get and profit. Somehow, her and her family she's indirectly profiting from this. Supposedly, no legal defense funding is going to Lindsay. This is really, really sketchy because we're looking at a world where Karmelo Anthony's family gets all this money. By the way, he gets left out on the sidewalk, which is amazing to me. And then Lindsay's family is getting all this money. I'm saying, I don't know what to make of this, but I'm concerned by it. I'm greatly concerned.
That's what blows me away on all of this GoFundMe stuff. The person that is needing it the most doesn't end up with it. It's their family.
Correct.
And they're out blowing this money. and like living it up, man.
It's disturbing. It's disturbing. And this is from Rumble's live chat. QRS says postpartum depression is a real thing and it can become psychotic. We have been seeing that progesterone, a natural hormone women have, can be adjusted to relieve the terrible depression. I totally agree. We live in a fallen world. What you do with the hill that you have to climb is still on you. I am not pretending it's easy. I am not. I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying that I would have done better. But I would hope that people would hold, for the good of my own soul, I would hope that people would hold me accountable if I did something like that. We all need accountability. We need, partly so that we can get right with God. I'm not talking about vigilante justice. I'm saying an ordered process where if you do this, you need time to get right with God, and then you are removed from society. We can have a talk about capital punishment versus mental asylum. We can have that conversation, but you can no longer be allowed to continue to do this because a lot of women have postpartum psychosis, okay? A lot do. Very, 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 very few of them take 15 minutes and strangle their children. I totally agree with you, QRS 123. We're in 100% agreement. That does happen. I think it's important to separate the two and say, yes, that does happen. She also chose what she chose in the moment for whatever the reasons. And I'm not pretending that I know what she did, or I'm not pretending I know her heart. What I will say is right is right, wrong is wrong. Consequences must exist. Otherwise, you will lose the justice system.
If she is found innocent,
Oh my gosh, please
and
no.
walks away, this will encourage other.
Case law will be insane.
Well, this will give other women who are struggling with this issue. Oh well, she got off, so
I can do it
yes.
too, and it'll linger in the mind.
It'll-
It causes
Or
confusion.
women that are struggling with kids that are
Yeah,
whatever having
it gives you license.
women that are having problems with children.
Everybody feels it's not my fault.
Right.
Everybody feels that way. It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
Not my fault.
But I will say,
I'm
I will
taking
say,
meds.
Yes, I will say that there should be some accountability from some other people. And
I think
will
that
say,
I think that we absolutely should look at those doctors.
Yes.
They should be held at some level. We need to start holding doctors who loosely prescribe
Yes.
psychoactive drugs.
yes,
That needs to be established.
Yes.
Needs to be established, because if she cannot be held liable, who will?
Please note, social media hype is building a lot of this. This is where this is coming from. The newspapers, the TV channels that are producing news, they need you to click on their station. They need you to click on their channel, and they need to hype stuff up. And
That's what creates all of these
Yes,
women out
yes,
Yes.
supporting this
And they-
girl and all of this
It
and
breeds
all of this
confusion.
support.
Yes.
It breeds confusion.
It's
It breeds
ridiculous.
permissiveness, and it needs to be said. Look, we need to start holding these big pharma companies accountable. Agreed. I think everyone on this panel would agree. You still are personally responsible for what you do. That's the ugly truth of reality. And God himself will hold you responsible for whatever you do. Under psych meds or not, you still have agency. And that's the word of the day, agency. You still have agency. So I want to warn you, and I want us to be looking at this. Antidepressant use in America is at an all-time high. Women are 17.7% of the population are consuming antidepressants. Men, 8.4%. Okay, some of us would have thought that would have been lower. Some of us would have thought that that would have been closer. Guys, it's a lot. It's a lot. All adults, 13.2% of all adults are on antidepressants, okay, according to this NIH study in 2015 through 2018. And I believe it's higher now, okay? This is almost a 10-year-old study, give or take. So very, very concerning that we have that on the rise. And if that becomes a defense, the legal system is borked. It's done. Postpartum psychosis. Let's go ahead and talk about that. About 13.2% of new mothers experience postpartum depression. Okay, this is a major considered a major depressive episode, requires some sort of treatment, requires counseling, requires sometimes progesterone or other things being added, especially when you have a taxing pregnancy. That is common.
I will also say sometimes it just needs a good diet.
Yeah, I think our diet is a huge
A
part
good
of this.
diet, yeah.
Postpartum psychosis, okay, that would be depression on steroids. About 1 to 2 births per 1,000 is the current understanding based on the CDC's PARAMS 2018 study, okay, via Vander Kruik et al. Now, is considered a psychiatric emergency, roughly 100-fold rarer than postpartum depression. It is amazing to me that we have thousands of these per year, and I have only once heard it spoken of as 8 months after an excuse / defense against murdering your 3 kids by strangling them for, I can't get past that. 15 minutes of strangling your kids. I cannot get past that. I cannot say that this woman, in fact, I think, I'm sorry, 15 minutes, no matter if you are bat bleep loony and you are actually that far gone, it is a mercy. I'm sorry. It is a mercy to give them the death penalty. I'm sorry. I think it's a mercy. Give them time to make themselves right with God. Give them time to say goodbye to their family. If you are that bat bleep crazy, if you're that gone, we need to give you some dignity.
I still think we need to go back to the firing squad for some people.
And so
I don't know. That's just my opinion.
but we're in the minority. So I want to go to Reddit for a moment. This is scary. Okay, this is from Medic Malfunction. I worry that this case will be used to weaponize the stigma against mental health, no matter how it turns out. I've already seen some talk of that already. It's a horrible tragedy. My heart goes out to all those impacted. What a tragedy. You know, the worst thing about this is that we're now going to stigmatize mental health. No, I think the worst part of this is that 3 kids are dead. I think, and a man is without his kids and without his wife, and you can hate the guy. There are a lot of people on there that hate the guy. I think the worst thing is the murder, though. I think that might be the worst thing. Just saying.
You know, I get tired of some of these things where people want to, well, it's just mental health.
No,
We need
yeah.
to,
You'll
Here-
love this next one.
it's just mental health.
It's not just mental health.
But you know what I
have
mean?
decisions.
People want to just give it a mental health problem and then just kind of
Correct.
brush it off to the side and just blame it on a mental health problem and just kind of blow it away.
You have no agency. You are only the matter that you inhabit. You don't have a soul, immortal soul. You don't have a spirit, and you're not responsible for any things that you do. And also, the husband is responsible. The husband is responsible. You ready for this? I've been following this case since it started back in 2023, mainly because I had PPD. The healthcare system does not know what to do with people like me. Notice how it's all about me. And I didn't even have psychosis. A lack of a village in mental health care is a huge problem in America particularly. Combine it with the fact that many men refuse to be involved or supportive while expecting their wives to bring in a paycheck. It's a recipe for disaster. I think a lot of misinformation is out there since this blew up all over social media. A lot of people have been manipulated in the facts, and she admits to killing them. Regardless, Patrick, at a bare minimum, the husband, at a bare minimum, contributed by being neglectful to both of his kids and his wife. He profited from their neglect and wants to continue to do so. He's a horrible person, even though he didn't commit the crime himself. 3 children were killed, and it should never have happened. Notice how the guy who comes home after going to CVS to get his wife's stuff brings her in food. Look, I'm not going to pretend the guy's a saint. I don't know the guy, but I know that he was getting food for his wife. He was going to CVS to get her psych meds. He was doing everything that he probably could. The guy's probably a hardworking stiff, right?
Well, they brought it out. He's having an affair. And
Well,
that's-
now he
that's-
is. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he's remarried. But they said
got
he was
remarried after.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't mean one way or the other, but it's always this is what the defense is really good at. Let's turn the look to the husband.
Let's make everything about not her. Let's take away the blame from her for her
Yeah,
own actions.
just like the
Karmelo Anthony, which we'll get to if we keep motivating. We'll get to that one.
All right.
We'll get to it. So again, one more click right through here. To me, it's been very eye-opening on how many women express that they've all had these quote-unquote dark thoughts of harming their kids. It's really frightening. In my opinion, what's even worse is now someone actually acted on those intrusive thoughts. They now kind of have an excuse to openly express those dark thoughts without any guilt and while still being validated for it. That's my biggest concern, is that we are now saying, hey, you can act on those. If we give her, if we let this woman walk, if we let her walk, you're going to tell everyone. And it's not about letting her walk or not. It's it's an issue of justice. But just as a side effect of sidestepping justice, of taking away this woman's agency and saying you weren't in control, you will also bring on a hellstorm. Matthew 18:6. I want to appeal to this. But whosoever shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hung around his neck and he were drowned in the depths of the sea.
Yep.
We need to have a little bit more Jesus in our mindset on this. I don't think it's good. Frisco, case number 2. I don't know if we're going to get through all these today. Frisco, case number 2. Keep going. Let's go ahead and play this. This is the clip I want to go through.
A major development in the Karmelo Anthony murder case. You'll remember he's the Texas teenager convicted of stabbing another teen at a high school track meet. The judge in that case now removed. Aaron McLaughlin joins us now. And Aaron, this happened the day before a key hearing?
Yeah, that's right, Tom. Today in court, the defense pointed to a local interview given by Judge John Roach days after the guilty verdict, in which Roach said he thought the jury got it right. Today, Roach was taken off the case after the presiding judge ruled that an outside person would have concerns about his impartiality. Outside the court, Anthony's supporters cheered the decision, while Metcalf's father said this does not change the facts of the case. Legal experts say today's ruling could help the defense's motion for a new trial. That motion is set for tomorrow.
So they're going to go ahead and redo the trial. Why? Let's go ahead and get into it.
No, they got denied.
Yeah, they're trying, and they're
going to try it again.
They're going to try it again.
It got denied.
Yes. So let's go ahead and go through the timeline real quick. For those of you who've been asleep, let's go ahead and go through. Okay, 21 to 23, school suspensions for fighting. Okay, 2023 message. I'm gonna shoot the school up. TMR. Let's go ahead and go through some of these. This is Karmelo Anthony's girlfriend with a photograph of a knife. He says, I'm gonna stab someone and lick the blood off the blade. Okay, it's pretty serious. On the day of the event, I am low-key, or shortly before the event at least, I am low-key on the verge. The only message reported from that date. His girlfriend reports to a school official later on that morning that she fears him and he's stalking her.
This is Karmelo.
Karmelo Anthony. Austin Metcalf, 17, is stabbed about 2 hours after the principal is alerted from the girlfriend, and only about 9 hours after he says, I'm low-key on the verge. Think about that for a moment. All of this is withheld from the jury. All of this is withheld from the jury. I wonder why.
From the public.
From the public, too. I wonder why. Both sides agreed, both the prosecution and the defense agreed to keep character evidence about both teenagers from the jury on a gentleman's agreement. Trial, guilty, 35 years is what he got, and a hearing reveals both excluded files. A ruling on the new trial is due on this Monday, and this will be going out on Monday on Further Everyday's channels. So let's talk about what Karmelo Anthony sent and when. So we've got him texting his girlfriend, and he says on autumn, it's not sure where it was, 2024, I'm gonna stab someone and lick the blood off the blade. Okay, this is sent to his girlfriend in 2024. Outlets placed it around September, October. We're not quite sure of the day. The one that's really interesting and I think speaks to the intent and should not have been left out is I'm low-key on the verge. Okay, in addition to a lot of other texts like how many bullet holes do you want in you, coming out of you?
Yeah,
is what he
so
texted.
that sets up that morning pretty well for his mindset.
Yeah. So whereas Austin Metcalf allegedly may or may not have done racist graffiti, he may or may not have.
I want to know who his friends are. I want to know who.
Well, the only one I care about is Anthony, because it doesn't matter if Austin Metcalf is a piece of human crap. It doesn't matter. Like, if I give you that, if I give the defense that Austin Metcalf is a KKK, it doesn't matter. Hey,
yeah, there's too many witnesses. That was listen. I read the article that both the defense and the prosecution came forward and said it was not racial. This was not a racial event.
It's just Karmelo Anthony is
It's social media hype. That's
person.
what all this is.
So, the unwritten agreement between the prosecution and defense proposed by the lead prosecutor May 26th to keep character evidence about both teenagers out and try the case on what happened under the tent. Memorialized as a deliberately generic motion in Lamlin, hand-delivered on the first day of the trial, absent from the public docket. The judge testified that he had no legal mechanism to enforce it. He wasn't involved in it. That's fine. So, no court order included this evidence. No Brady violation has been found or apparently even been pleaded. No court or bar body has substantiated a collusion finding, so we don't know yet if there was any collusion. It doesn't appear. It's just a gentleman's agreement, but it does seem interesting that those very, very important facts were kept off. It's unfortunate. The judge was not a party to the agreement. So, but it is concerning. Now, testimony from the day of, what actually happened. Witnesses describe Metcalf telling him to move from the memorial tent. Anthony reaches into his bag saying, touch me and see what happens. He's grabbing his knife that he says previously a few months ago said he was going to lick after he stabbed someone. He says he's low-key on the verge. The day of, he puts his hand into his bag. This is not a simple thing. This is him. He's grabbing his knife. Touch me and see what happens. It's a threat. Metcalf grabs him or pushes him or whatever, and then Anthony stabs him. No witness statement in the arrest reports a racial slur. That was a claim. Anthony to the school resource officer, I was protecting myself. He put his hands on me. I'm not alleged. I did it. So he's very, very proud that he did it. He asked whether it could be considered self-defense. And obviously, no, I'm sorry. You don't grab your gun and say, touch me and see what happens. Like that by any concealed carrier standard, like that's not how that works. You are threatening someone. By the way, Second Amendment guys, do not say, touch me and see what happens. Do not say that. That is a threat.
Do not do that.
That is a threat.
Exactly
that is illegal. And Anthony did that. Just saying, one standard for all. Character and intention are not the same thing. I do want to lay this out because the stuff against Austin Metcalf, whether it is true or not, it's alleged. Who knows exactly what was done by Austin Metcalf? There was KKK stuff and there was other nonsense in a graffiti in a back alley that Metcalf did 12 months of probation for. Okay, so
until I see it, I'm not going to make any judgment because
I don't even care. I don't even care. It's like, if he's a stupid racist, even if he is a stupid racist, it literally does not matter. The facts of the death, like it literally does not matter. So character and intention are not the same thing. I want to go ahead and go through this. A record of bad character says what a person is like, generally inadequate on its own to attribute motive to on a given day. A statement of intent, however, says the person means to do a thing. It's not the same category of evidence as character evidence. This should never have been kept from the jury. The law already treats it differently, okay? You do not need Austin Metcalf to be a good person. This is a logical proof. We need to be thinking about this, not just in how we do apologetics with the Bible, but we need to be thinking logically. The word give a response is a legal reasoned defense. We need to be capable of doing that. This is an asymmetrical action. Metcalf said, leave, you're in the wrong place. Anthony stabs him. Different thing. It's not racism. It's not an oppressive hierarchy. It is parents who failed Karmelo Anthony and Karmelo Anthony in his own free will doing bad things. It is not even close. You do have agency. Come on in here, Charlie. We're just getting to the favorite part here. We're going to get into case number 3 of the removal of agency from people. By the way, I think this is one of the sickest things. Removing people's agency from them on a societal level produces what you see here. This week / month / year, there's a few things that have come out and it all kind of came into the news here. Go ahead and throw up the next bit. Culminates here.
When you push a girl to the ground and rape her, you know that that's not right. I didn't need to be told that by anybody, and I think most human beings in their hearts know that it's wrong. But there are some cultures and communities where a blind eye is turned or is tolerated, but everybody knows it's wrong.
Or the moral compulsion not to do that is not backed up by law.
And that's the problem. It's about values. It's about cultural values and identity and a refusal to accept what they know in their hearts is
So
wrong
if the Home
anyway.
Office is tacitly accepting that the difference in cultural values might be so enormous, in some of the people that arrive, again, not all, in some of the people that arrive, that a childlike explainer of the very basics here is required.
It's not required, is it? Let's be clear.
Well, why is it not required?
Because they know in their hearts that what they're doing is evil and wrong and vile, but they think they can get away with it because they've gotten away with it for so long. They know it's wrong, but those that do come here, they think they can get away with it, maybe because we're a soft touch, but also because they come from cultures where it essentially is okay.
So this is, again, if you're on audio and you're not seeing what's there, or if you're on PSB, perhaps the line's a bit blurry. Government leaflets tell asylum seekers not to, quote unquote, rape women. In the UK, both people must say yes to sex, and this is called consent. The question that the caller in really did a good job asking, if that is a disclaimer that must be put to a subset of people who are being brought in unvetted, unchecked, unnaturalized, should we be bringing these people in unvetted, unchecked, unnaturalized, with no controls? Because, by the way, all the good ones, they're probably still there, back in their country, trying to make a living, trying to do hard work. They have families, they have familial structures. A lot of them are staying. The ones who come here, and there was a video this week that came out from a interviewer. He was going out, a journalist, and he says, okay, so why are you coming here from Somalia? Why are you coming here from all these other sub-Saharan African nations? We're here to F women. Like, we're here to F. We like to F. And they didn't say F. And so I thought about putting it in here. I didn't have the time to censor it all out. There were so many explicatives. These guys barely speak English, and you can see that they are this close from disrobing and showing exactly what they wanted to do to the UK women. Guys, maybe they have agency. Maybe they've just made bad choices. And maybe bringing them in unvetted is a bad choice yourself as the government. And I want to go ahead and look a little bit further. This is in regards to the last couple of episodes we've gone through this.
And maybe Islam is just not compatible with Western civilization.
Keep going, Mr. Producer. Go ahead and hit advance. Okay, so I want to keep rolling. It's not compatible. So this is what the booklet in the UK actually says. This is a quote from Understanding Behaviors and Expectations in the UK, Home Office, 19th of August, 2026. If you have sex with someone without their consent, it's called rape. Rape is a serious crime in the UK. You could go to prison. You could go to prison. Maybe not. Maybe we'll allow you to rape our women, okay? By the way, I'm sorry, Mr. Braveheart, Mel Gibson, what did he die for? Anyway, lose your support and accommodation, and it will affect your asylum claim. It will affect your asylum claim. Maybe you should be put to death if you are doing that to a woman. The legal age of consent in the UK is 16. There are no exceptions to this rule. Now, be a good boy, and don't do that thing. If you have to print that for illiterate people who are, or vaguely literate people, and maybe they can't, you're assuming some of these people don't even read, okay? You're assuming that you have to take it to the kindergarten level, and these are adult military-aged men in many cases, and you're writing this out for them? Oh, I'm sorry, the age of consent is 16. None of that stuff with the 10-year-olds. I know you do that in your country, but here it's a little different. Why would they act differently? Of course, you're assuming that the issue is they have no agency, and only if you bring them into your liberal economy can you do this. This is the next one. This is on the issue of female genital mutilation. This practice is illegal in the UK, irrespective of your cultural origins. Forced marriage is illegal in the UK. Maybe, can we just say, if you treat your women like that, you're not allowed in our country? Like,
yeah.
can that be on the quiz?
Hey, you know what?
On the
If
poll?
you're a parent and you allow these people into your home and something happens to your children, are you not held accountable for it? I mean, at least in the United States you are. But the UK has gone crazy.
Like I don't understand. I don't understand. This is absolutely bat-scat bonkers.
Yes.
Okay, where this all came from. Okay, this is the Home Office Guide to Rights and Expectations in the UK, issued to asylum seekers, first published on the 2nd of October 2019, last updated 14th of August 2026, hence it's back on the news, available in 10 languages. One document in the Home Office alongside 13 other items published in 19th of August 2026. So this is what is causing the dust up. People are looking back at that. Now, let's look at what the UK law actually provides for, okay? The UK Borders Act of 2007, Section 32 says the Secretary of State must make a deportation order for foreign criminals sentenced to 12 months or more. I would say FGM, FGM should be more than a 12-month sentence. Okay, this shouldn't be an option. Okay, rape should be more than 12 months. These people should be deported. This Section 33 disapplies the duty where removal would breach the Refugee Convention, ECHR, or of the ECHR. Now, ECHR article, absolute, per the House Commons Library, the activities of the individual, however undesirable or dangerous, cannot be a material consideration. Guys, what we're actually looking at is the law is breaking apart. It's falling apart under stupidity, under wokeness, under an inversion of godly principles. And what you're seeing is the West is suffering from it. And it's coming here to the United States. Foreign nationals who are awaiting, okay, in 2020, it was 8,500. In 2026, guess how many it is? 20,000 who are not currently being deported with no checks and balances. Ostensibly, some of them are in prison, some of them aren't. Do you know where they are? Do you know who these people are? Do you know where they are? UK does not have a good tracking system.
Knows.
What is going on, guys? This is
Who
what
knows?
happens when you decide you will know what is good and evil and the difference between it. It is the oldest lie in the book. It is the oldest lie in the book, and it's destroying the UK. Okay. Next cut, Mr. Producer. The Office for National Statistics does not hold crime data broken down by asylum or my immigration status. Go ahead and put it up there. There you go. Good. In June of 2026, the Information Commissioner ordered the Ministry of Justice to release convictions by nationality. The ministry appealed rather than comply, and the publication is stayed. Guys, they are not publishing the real data. We don't even know how bad it is. That 250,000 rape gang report, who actually knows? Who actually knows? If they don't report it, you will not know. It's like right-wing versus left-wing violence. If everything is categorized as right-wing violence and none of it is categorized as left-wing, even when they say, I'm a tranny, I hate Christians, and they shoot up a Catholic school, and that's not left-wing violence, you're going to have skewed data. There's lies, darn lies, and then there's statistics, right? If they don't track it, we are going to have a problem. Now, the counter to this is going to be the following: Leviticus 19:34 and Leviticus 19:15. But the stranger that dwells among you shall be unto you as one born among you, and you shall love them as yourself, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou give, or shalt thou judge thy neighbor. The problem is this: it says justice, it says righteousness. It doesn't assume that you allow them to do evil. From our wonderful Unitarian friends and all of our liberal Christian theologians, they will use this. I want to go to Lewis to explain this just a little bit better, because we've got to wrap this segment up. Here's the issue of the paradox. Mercy detached from justice grows unmerciful. Mm-hmm. That is the important paradox. And this is from the Humanitarian Theory of Punishment, the Churchman, volume 73, number 2. Okay. Augustine says mercy is vouchsafed in such a way that justice is safeguarded. Mercy can only truly be mercy if justice is present. It is not merciful to the guilty to allow them continue to do evil. It is not good for their soul. and is not good for the innocent. It is cruelty. We're living in a world where Isaiah 5:20 really, really comes forward. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. We have to make a decision in the West. And Mark 8:36 really lays it out well. For what shall it profit a man if he gain the whole world but lose his own soul? We're importing these people for a voter base. We're importing these people for cheap labor. We're importing them for all sorts of reasons. We are losing our moral integrity, our moral character. We're robbing people of agency. We're saying that they don't have it, and we are providing this absolutely dystopian future for our kids. And in fact, while doing so, disadvantaging the guilty. We really need to rethink this. We really need to rethink this. And we need to start holding a stronger stance. You walked into a fun one, Charlie.
I am so sorry. It
No,
has been
I'm
a
glad
busy
you're here.
day. And I apologize to everyone that I couldn't be here the last 2 Sundays. I mean, this has been a weird last 2 weeks, to say the least. But it's interesting that we're talking about these topics. There's so much that's going through my mind. And I think about where Europe is, especially England, with regards to their immigration challenges. And the longer that we ignore, promote those that think that this is good, the idea that the immigration is good, the worse off we're going to be. And I know there's people out there, well, everybody was an immigrant at one time. Yeah.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't. My ancestors were on the Mayflower. I'm sorry.
Amen.
We were pilgrims and we were settlers. They were not immigrants. We built something. You came here, said you wanted it.
And the thing is, if you are not going to assimilate to do the right thing, go home.
Right.
Totally agree.
Go home. And for those that of you that are contemplating a move from California to Texas, or maybe a move from California to Tennessee, I can honestly tell you the same thing. If you're not going to do it the Texan way, stay home. Stay there. We don't need it.
We don't want you.
We don't want you.
Charlie, here's a question.
Yes.
And this is from Mr. Dynamax. If your child had a public school teacher with blue hair and a nose ring, would you yank your child out of that class?
And Mr. Dynamax, I think that's an excellent question. We've covered this topic before about who has responsibility for the education of your children.
You do.
You do. You do.
You have agency. All these parents go and they say, oh, my kid went to school and they became liberal. Did you indoctrinate them in Christ before they went and got indoctrinated in Marx?
So to answer that question, yes, I would.
100%.
I think probably everybody on this panel would probably yank their child out.
I hope to find a woman someday that I can homeschool with. That's...
Yeah, I wouldn't put him in public school to begin with.
No, if we can avoid it, we
can
avoid it.
I'm pretty sure that Captain would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Not to belabor this point, the challenge is just in that alone of trying to find a private school that you can afford, that would line up with your values. It's all very challenging, but the bottom line is this, and you nailed it. It's the issue of indoctrination in Christ versus the indoctrination of the world. And which are you going to do?
Indeed.
And if as difficult as things can be between your job and homeschooling, I guarantee you in that situation, I would do everything I could to homeschool. Everything.
One last question, and we got to move into Nikki Knows Facts. Go ahead and throw it up there, Mr. Producer. Throw it up on DS Key 2. One last question, and I got to ask you guys, go ahead. Four-wheeler, side-by-side, or dirt bike? Four-wheeler, side-by-side, or dirt bike?
So is that the only...
Those are the only four.
There's no context.
No. So there's no context. There's no context. Four-wheeler, side-by-side, or dirt bike?
I probably would go four-wheeler.
Four-wheel.
Four-wheeler?
Probably a four-wheeler.
See, I would have thought you would have done a side-by-side, Mr. Producer. Four-wheeler, side-by-side, or dirt
He's like,
bike. He's
what
like,
are we talking
wait,
about?
what even is this?
Yeah,
These are
I-
off-road vehicles.
Do you?
Tell us in the
Oh.
comment section, guys. Four-wheeler, side-by-side, like a gator. You can have 2 or 4 or 6 in a side-by-side, right? But it's wider. You can get through less stuff. Or a dirt bike. You guys got to tell us. So AOC says dirt bike.
Okay, we're doing a trip to Bass Pro Shops with him.
We're going to show him what a side-by-side
Soon.
is. We're going to educate.
we're going with Steve because he just got his credit raised up.
Yeah, I was telling Nikki, I said, oh, and I was looking at my emails and I said, oh, Nikki, this could be dangerous. She goes, what? I said, my credit rating for Bass Pro just got increased.
That's dangerous.
She goes, I said, that's dangerous. She goes, when are we going? This afternoon? I said, maybe.
Right after the podcast.
So, by the way, on PSB's live chat, guys, you can join us on PSB's live chat, 1 to 3 Central Time, God's time zone on Sundays. Just a Pug says a four-wheeler. Okay, so I think I got one dirt bike. I've got one four-wheeler. Look, I'm looking at either if it's with wife and kids, side by side. If it's me, it's a four-wheeler.
If it's just me and Nikki, it's a four-wheeler.
Four-wheeler's fun.
You know, I've seen a four-wheeler with a bed.
Get out.
I'm serious.
Like on the back?
It's got 4 back wheels.
Dude.
And a bed.
That's insane.
A dump bed.
I love it.
I tell you, it is. I've thought about getting one. I've thought about getting one.
Dearman's a dirt bike. Okay, so we've got some diversity.
We got some dirt bikes are all right.
Dirt bikes are fun. I love dirt
I
bikes.
like dirt bikes. I went through a barbed wire fence on one.
Oh.
Ow.
Right here.
Oh.
78 stitches. Oh.
Oh.
So that's an interesting fact. Speaking of facts, it is time for Nikki Knows Facts.
Inept robber. No camels are allowed on the highways in Nevada. He has a hacksaw. This is not a mannequin. This is a human corpse. I love that story. I really did.
I'm so glad you did because it was fun to listen to because you love it.
Yes, we're going to talk today about what I have in my hands. Just a deck of cards. Just like this. I love to play a good game of cards. That's my favorite thing. Most people like to play cards. Charlie doesn't like to play cards with me very much.
Nope. Nope.
I
Do you
love
lose?
cards.
Do you lose? Or do you
All
win?
the time. What do you think? All the time.
But I love cards, and what we're going to do.
But I've got to say, it is a sweet joy to have my daughter and her husband and their 3 grandkids living next door to us. Because guess who beats Nikki at cards?
My 5-year-old. But we're not playing adult games.
Really?
Oh,
Yes.
buddy, they deserve each other.
Who? Which 5?
Titus and Nikki.
beats her, really?
Oh yeah.
Titus?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I've got to
Okay,
shake his
okay,
hand.
yeah.
Does he have Luck of the Irish or something?
Yeah.
I got to have a good talk with Titus. Me and him got
Titus
to
and
get
I will
along.
play a game called golf, and we don't really follow the rules because he's 5.5. Okay.
Well, that'll do it.
But I don't. The rules that I have set up is for a 5.5-year-old, and he does beat me a lot, and he's very focused. And then when we play war, he takes the jokers out of the cards because he knows anybody who has the jokers is going to win. So he knows what to do, and don't ever let him deal because he'll stack the deck for his advantage. So
And he'll do it. I'm very nonchalantly.
You got to spank that bull.
I do all the dealing. All right, so we're going to get into the history of cards. And for you who are religious, remember, cards are amoral. They don't do anything wrong. It's the person that holds the card.
It's dead Jesus on there. It's dead Jesus.
There you go. It's just like money. Money is
You've heard
not
that.
evil. It depends on what you do with the money that makes it evil. But we're going to travel back in time. And can anybody guess what century that cards were invented?
11th?
I'm going to say the 8th.
It was actually the 9th. And we're going back.
That was close.
Yes, go ahead and put up the first thing there.
deal,
You have your cards there. And then we're going back to China. Go to the next one. And it was actually the 9th century. And it is I think Tang Dynasty, T-A-N-G Dynasty, that it happened. So, and it travels. And it's really interesting where it starts and how it travels and how it changes to what we have today. So it's a really interesting story. But we're going to go to ancient China there we saw, and the cards originated there, and then they're going to move throughout the world. But what started as little pieces of paper, somebody put some designs on paper, and they created a game. Now, at that time also, during that culture, they could also use those pieces of paper for money. Now, the cards travel with the merchants that traveled, the soldiers that traveled, and then people who were also just traveling. They take information with them, but they took those cards. And they're going to end up, go to the next slide there. They're going to end up in the Islamic world. Now, this is really interesting because they're going to end up in Mamluk, Egypt there. And I don't know if I said that right.
Mm-hmm.
There's the correct way of phonics and there's my way. And that's just the way it is. Okay?
Nikki knows phonics. Here you guys go.
you
Nikki
on
knows phonics
phonics?
is a new segment.
Yeah, Nikki's own phonics. That's what we're going to call it. But I was thinking when I was trying, I try to pronounce these words, and I was thinking, I'm not sure that phonics was mandatory in elementary school where I went to. I think it was optional, and I missed that class. But anyway, so when these cards traveled and got into the Islamic world and into Egypt there, they were adapted, but the cards are going to change, and they're going to change to reflect the culture of the time. So go ahead and put up the next cards there. So this is what they look like. They're going to change the designs on them, and you see that, they were doing these by hand, a lot of these cards, and look how handcrafted they were. And they're no longer just beautiful little scraps of paper. They're organized systems, and they're going to have suits, and they're going to have now ranks. It has a political tone to it because they're going to put the system on there of kind of a political system. Go to the next one there. We have.
Imagine having some of those cards for.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. We've gone too far.
cards.
Hold on now. They had coins, cups, swords, and polo sticks. Okay, they had the 4 suits that started in Egypt. They had Arabic calligraphy on there. And the court cards did not look like kings and queens and jacks that we know today. They were titles and symbols, which means it was an organized system and it was politically motivated there. Whatever game they were playing, that's what polo was a sport, or it was. If they had polo sticks, they must have been playing polo, right? I would assume that. Now, we're going to move on. So the next one was what? We're moving on to Europe, okay? In Europe, you're going to see, I'm losing my place here. They're going to change that into their own system in Europe. And it hits Italy first. And there weren't, at that time, I'm getting because we're going to go to Germany, we're going to go to Italy. And in Italy, they had we're getting closer to our 4 suits, but they changed it to cups, swords, batons, and coins. And so the swords were still the same, the cups were still the same, the coins were still the same, and the polo sticks were transformed into batons to reflect the culture. Now, Germany was different. Germany had things like dogs, I believe on there, hunting things. That's kind of reflecting their culture. So when it leaves Italy, go on to the next one, it's going to end up in France. Now, this is where the suits that we know started. And that's going to have the hearts, the diamonds, clubs, and the spades. Now, they kind of standardized these the cards at that time. In Italy, they started the tarot cards. Now today we look at tarot cards as being fortune telling, but back then it was actually a game that was created for the rich. It was 78 cards. It wasn't fortune telling at that time. It has transgressed or transformed into that today, but not when it was created. So back to France, the cards that we know today, these were standardized in France. Now here comes the king, the queen, and the jack. Now, again, political. The king was the highest card because a king was. The queen, second, and then the jack, I don't know what exactly the jack represented, but it did put here. Also, we want to share with you that the ace used to represent a number 1, but it changes at this time. Now, I heard, and I can't confirm, that during the French Revolution, or the French Revolution, was it? The French Revolution, the symbol of the ace being higher than the king was a political statement that they did not want the king.
Because it was a 1.
Yes, yes.
The ace was a 1.
And they also said that if you look at the ace, it has, they said at the time there was a tax and you had to get a stamp. And they also put that on there as a symbol for that. Ryan and I were talking beforehand that the 4 kings represent 4 kings in history. And I didn't know what they were, so I went and looked them up for us, Ryan. And the king of spades represents King David. The king of clubs is Alexander the Great. The king of hearts is that Charlemagne?
Charlemagne. It's Charlemagne.
Also, it kind of stands for the suicide king.
Yeah.
Which is hard. I really would like King David to be the king of hearts myself. But king of diamonds is Julius Caesar. Now that's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So these are the cards that we recognize today. My favorite game is euchre, which came out of France. And when euchre was created, they created the jokers, which is interesting because we don't play with jokers in euchre unless it's 6-handed euchre, right?
It's been a long time since we've done it.
Well, because you won't play with me.
No, I
won't. You won't play with me. Oh, in Germany, it was, I'm sorry, I see it here. It was animals, hunting equipment, things like that. It was something within their own culture. So that's really the evolution of the cards and playing cards. But everybody, I bet just about every household has a deck of cards. And I'm teaching my grandchildren young. I've got a couple of granddaughters who are better than I am. And I can't wait for them to learn euchre.
You'll have a whole mess of people to play with.
Yes, yes. We have to be careful.
I'll be watching a game.
You'll be on the sideline.
He does not play. I tell him
cheering on.
I could tell him he could be on my team. You could be on my team. You know?
Yes.
You could.
Cheering.
You could be on the winning team.
He'll be a cheerleader. On Charlie.
No, when he tells
you got your pom-poms in your skirt? That'd be a sight, wouldn't it, Mr. Producer?
So that's kind of the brief history of cards. It goes back quite a long ways.
It does.
And I like the way
Charlie the cheerleader.
Every culture that took the game on kind of changed it to resemble their culture. And I like the political statement too with it a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
It's each deck was a product of the times and a cultural statement. And so I think it's a good thing to kind of note where the culture is going. And there's some things you can't participate in the culture, but if you can and with good conscience, why not play a good game of cards?
Yes.
I can only play a game of poker for about 8 rounds in a new group. I will sweep the whole board and then I have to walk out. All the saltwater taffies in my bosom, I walk out because if I keep playing, they know my tell. Anyway.
They figure you out.
They figure me out. So tell us your favorite card game down below. And Crows for Freedom says nice study on the history of cards. Thank you so much.
Oh,
can you imagine the ease of, shall I say, cheating when they were hand drawing those cards?
Oh man.
I mean, I can't imagine.
So it's a good.
What do you mean?
It'd be
You're
harder.
talking about a person trying to draw multiple decks of cards,
They were
all with the same design.
and they were an expensive thing. So each one, it's hard to find. Like you couldn't just go to Walmart and buy a standardized deck, like a bicycle deck.
Right.
You would have to perfectly copy. So cheating might have been harder.
Well, actually, you bring out a good point because what happened was when these standard cards came out like this, very, very simple, card games were really for the wealthy because it took so much work to create a game. So when they simplified the cards like this, then that is when the average person was able to get a hold of a deck of cards and start playing because of the ease of creating the deck.
All right.
It's a good point.
Favorite game. Blackjack from Big Cayuna. Pinochle from Crows for Freedom.
Oh, been a while since I've done that.
Euchre is yours? Yeah?
Euchre is mine.
Okay, Mr. Producer.
Does spoons count?
Spoons,
Yes.
spoons totally counts.
or
Spoons
Mafia?
counts. Mafia's fun. Barely counts. Steve, poker.
Probably euchre.
Euchre. Okay. Well, there you go.
But I will
Put down
say,
below.
no. As she laughs wildly,
She can't. You just can't play with her.
I can't play with her.
They're
Pinochle,
competitive.
Pinochle
You
is
haven't
fun.
noticed.
I've done that before.
They're very
We've done it.
competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us down below your favorite. And with that said, enough shenanigans here. We're going to move over to Steve's shenanigans, which is going to be cut number 12.
Oh,
12. 12.
look out here.
I can't go shoot me a buffalo.
Nope.
Stay out of my garbage can. I'll keep it to myself.
We're getting to the elephant.
There's an elephant in the room?
There's an elephant in the room. This room is not big enough for an elephant.
It's not big enough for
In
an
the
elephant.
room.
So
Finally,
let's go.
going to a dressing. Yes.
You're going to put a
The next.
You're going to put a dress on an elephant.
And there will be some monsters in
Yay.
this. Yes. And we
Elephants
will
are
talk
monsters.
about them and take care of them.
He's going to put a dress on the elephant. Let's go.
Yes. Next one, Captain. And like last time, 1 Corinthians 16, 13, 14. And this is for all these men. Be on the alert. Stand firm in the faith. Act like men. Be strong. Do everything in love.
Indeed.
Yes. Next, Captain. And first, we're going to talk about the guy at the In-N-Out Burger, Jordan Salinas.
All of that range LARPing paid off. I'm telling you, I love it.
Man, you bet, dude. And if you'll notice on the picture on the left, look how long the barrel is on that pistol.
That's no barrel. That's a suppressor.
That is exactly right. And that's the interesting thing about it.
That was my best Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's not my
That
Death
is
Star.
the interesting thing about what he has there is his suppressor, okay, is the fact that he has a suppressor. And not only was Jordan Salinas there that that was there on the spot, but also there was a deputy that was injured. His name was A.J. James.
Off-duty officer.
Off-duty officer that was there.
I bet he wishes that he had a signature reduction device on his gun so that he wasn't the main target and Salinas was able to quietly
sneak up.
Yeah. Well, there's no
And he
sneaking
was
with
shooting
5.7.
at quite a bit of a distance from what I understand.
Yeah, my understanding is that Salinas didn't necessarily land any on target, but he got
Yeah.
enough motion that the guy ran off himself and offed himself.
Right.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
All for it.
Both of them created enough of a problem and enough confusion for the guys, especially Salinas, popping rounds off at him and caused him to stop doing what he was doing. And that was the whole idea behind having other people being concealed carriers.
So
and
all
that's
about
what
it.
works. So am I, man.
And now
all
suppressors
about it.
are back on the menu, baby. You can
Oh,
44.73
man, I love
those
it.
puppies.
I love it having suppressors back on the menu, and that is what this is all about. That is what this whole segment is all about. Next segment, next picture. And the interesting thing about what Jordan had, he had to get his gun out of a holster. Now, he had to have something similar to this with a length. Okay? You see how long these two holsters are? Because, why is that? Because of the length of the suppressor on his gun.
That's why I wouldn't carry a suppressor for concealed unless it was like a hush puppy.
Exactly.
Or had a
One that
Trilug
had
2D.
to be a short suppressor, something that is 3 inches
Yeah, it can still
around there that you could carry.
The Maxim
or
9
something.
is a sexy looking gun, and it has an
And the
integral
ones
suppressor.
that are mods,
Yeah,
okay, that
Yeah.
you can.
but that's excessive to carry that. I'm all about excessive. I like
I
it.
like excessive. Some
like
of these
it.
things are really nice. And the next one, Captain. Now, this is where the conversation starts getting interesting. This suppressor here is a Mod X9, which is made by 6 Sauer. The full length is on the left, and then you can break it down with a tool that comes with it down to the length that it is on the right, which is 3.1 inches in length.
The most important thing, if you're shooting anything other than a 45 or some subsonic round, is signature reduction.
Correct.
You're not. It will sound like a hammer being slapped next to you onto a tin roof, but it's going to reduce your overall signature, reduce the bounces. It's going to be harder to triangulate where you are. So if you're in an active
When
shooter
you're
situation-
shooting a subsonic round.
well, I'm saying when you're not.
When you're not shooting a subsonic round.
Subsonic,
Correct.
You can get subsonic reasonably quiet.
Yes.
But supersonic
even with a short suppressor, you can get a reasonably quiet round. Now, like you said, with a regular round, even with a short suppressor like the one on the far right, even with it not being a suppressed round, you can still have a reduction in the noise, like, say,
signature
like
reduction. So
signature, like,
muzzle
say,
flash.
someone like me that does security and I'm in a large room, say, like if I was in the
Auditorium.
sanctuary
Yeah.
and I had to do something, pull my weapon to do whatever I had to do, and I had one like that and had to fire it, it would reduce the signature quite a bit compared to if it wasn't on there.
We're talking about 20 dB on a solid can, which you got to think about decibels as every 3. This is roughly true. Every 3 dB is a doubling or a halving, right? So 3 dB up is twice as loud. 3 dB down is half as loud. So if that helps you think, 20 dB is 6 times, over 6 times, close to 8 times quieter, which is a big deal when you're at a range, or if you're in a hallway and you're getting that auditory acoustic backslap from the wall. It's going to not affect your ears as bad. It'll still be loud as all get out if it's a supersonic.
But it'll be a whole lot quieter than one without it.
Correct.
Exactly. That's why something like that is a whole lot more appropriate to use, and if at all possible, if you're able to use one, that even if it's short like that, because with the fact that suppressors have now become more able to be used by people. I think you're going to start seeing people using them more, especially shorter ones, in more concealed carry instances with people. And I think you're going to start seeing people in the market with suppressors are going to start making suppressors that are more for people for concealed carry.
Like the Hush Puppy, which is this big, or you'll start to see pistols come from the factory with integrated suppressors.
Suppressors, correct.
So looking forward to that. Guns don't
It'll
need to
be
be nearly as
interesting
loud.
to see what comes about.
Yeah.
And those are called modular suppressors, or like people in the gun community call them mods for short. Next one, sir. Short suppressors. These are what they have currently. This one right here is not a modular. It is just a short suppressor. Currently, the shortest one they have on the market, this one is 3.6 inches, and it is manufactured by, who is it? Silencer Co. or Silencer Company. Right now, they have one, and it is 3.6 inches in length. That is the full length, and it is not a modular. It is just a regular full
K
length.
model.
It's just a regular can.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a short and you're looking through the catalog, look for the Kurtz, the K model. For some reason, we adopted
Omega
the German,
K.
Yeah, we've adopted the German nomenclature. The Kurtz is the short.
Correct. And I think you'll start seeing more cans that are developed where there'll be just a single can that's going to be probably 2 inches.
Whip Machine and Tool,
around there.
Pre this last month's repeal of the NFA, or partial repeal of the NFA. It's not a full repeal. There's a lot going on. Whip Machine and Tool made a $200 suppressor for years. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Someone had a $40 one. And we're looking at probably like a 15 to 18 dB reduction is what the estimate was. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out.
Because I think the suppressor companies, I think, are going to really be making a big change in a lot of stuff with the NFA changes that have been made.
Are in progress. Don't make any assumptions yet.
That's true. I should not make assumptions.
This is not illegal.
That are in progress.
No legal advice. Not lawyers.
That's true. That are currently in progress, I should say. And I think the suppressor companies will eventually manufacture things if things go in that direction.
Correct. It'll become
They
cheaper.
will go in the market that creates the demand.
Yeah. Those $1,200 suppressors are still going to be around, but they're going to make $200, $100 suppressors.
Yes.
Now. They have to.
Yes.
To compete. Yeah.
Exactly. And you'll see shorter suppressors that are made for concealed carry purposes and, like you said, integrated suppressors for guns. And it'll be interesting times, very interesting times. Next one, Captain. And you're going to see holsters that are going to be made for suppressors. Currently, what is made, this one right now is made by Falco. It is called a Falco Osprey. It is just an open bottom holster that is currently made for, it's an OWB holster that is made for, which is outside the waistband holster that is made for a pistol, a semi-auto pistol. They also make them for wheel guns, which is your regular revolver gun, and you can just put them on outside your waist that's held by your belt, and
little more
the barrel
intimidating.
sticks out the bottom.
That's intimidating.
That's why I like to carry. I like to carry concealed. I'd rather people not see.
Exactly.
Do you remember that old song by Marty Robbins, "Big Iron on His Hip"?
Yes. And that's why it's best, I believe, to carry concealed than it is to have something that's open carry. Makes it too easy for somebody to walk up and want to grab it.
Yep, I agree.
Makes it too tempting. And I've seen a lot of videos where people have just walked up and pulled a gun out of somebody's hip at a store or someplace, and it's just too easy to rip off from somebody.
It's better to not. Yeah.
Yeah. It's too easy to do, too. I mean, just take. And that is Steve's shenanigans. And I believe that's probably what's going to end up happening in Suppressorville. Yes, Suppressorville and Hosterville on what's to be coming in the future of
Especially, you know, going back to politics, what's the new politicians that are coming up and the things that they're saying about government taking over things, that is going to cause a lot of people to want to be armed and to invest in things that they haven't maybe invested before.
And
if they go ahead and approve this, grab everything you can, because I don't think we're going to make it out of the 2028 as well as we're all hoping. Everything that you have will be grandfathered, lose it in a boating accident, and move about your life and be happy.
I agree. I would start.
Not legal advice.
I would start buying as much ammunition and
but just
stuff
a thought.
As you can.
Just a thought. So,
not legal advice, but just something, you know, throw out there and kind of toss in a pond. You know, something for anchors.
I like the sound of an anchor dropping into the pond. It's just there's nothing like it. And speaking of sounds, we have a wonderful song review.
Wow, what a
segue. Yes, we do.
I hurt myself reaching on that one.
I was like, I could feel that hurt from over here, yeah.
Oh, you got two of them. You have two song reviews. No, so by the way, Donovan of the Day, we do have your song included in our list. I don't know, are we doing that next week?
That's next week's. Yeah.
Perfect.
I've just had this one in the tank for 2-3 weeks now.
Fire away. So Donovan of the Day, we did
put
get that.
his picture on his song review thing, man.
Well,
Get
Steve, I'm
real
tasking you
little,
with that.
Clips of me.
Not
saying
me,
weird
dude.
Things.
Yeah, I
me
gotta
with
find
that.
weird things. You don't say weird things. You record people doing weird things.
That's true. I do that.
And then you say weirdly, you want to you want to Ryan's records? I've got all of the things you've said that are embarrassing when out of context.
Are you saying you want to do a Ryan's record session on the podcast?
No, I want you to start the song review, Mr. Producer.
Okay, so real quickly before we get into today's song, just a quick reminder why we do this segment is because music is a gift from God. And actually, I was looking at I saw a post about John Cooper on Instagram this weekend. If you don't know who John Cooper is, he is the frontman for the Christian rock band Skillet. And he was talking about how, like, some Christians are like, oh, rock music's so demonic and what you do is demonic. And he was talking about how music, like Ms. Nikki was talking about earlier about the cards, music is one of those things that, like cards, like guns, like technology, it's an amoral thing. It depends on how you use it, depends on the purpose, the heart, the message behind it. And unfortunately, not all music has a good message to it, has a good godly heart behind it. But today's song does. I'm so excited for today's song today. It is The Bare Necessities. No, I'm kidding. It's Awesome God by Rich Mullins. John Arthur, you grew up with this song, did you not?
Yep.
Is this not a phenomenal song we're covering today?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
All right, so let's start here. So verse 1, says, when he rolls up his sleeves, he ain't just putting on the Ritz, which I did not know what that meant at first. I had to look up what it meant. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it means to, like, basically, like, do stuff just for show, to put on a show, to impress. There's thunder in his footsteps and lightning in his fists. And the Lord wasn't joking when he kicked him out of Eden. It wasn't for no reason that he shed his blood. His return is very close, and so you better be believing that our God is an awesome God.
Amen.
Now, for one thing I want to point out about this song is that the word awesome, I love his usage of it and just how the everything, like the chorus goes deeper into it, but the verses around it really complement his usage of the word awesome, because in today's the modern usage of the word, it's like cool or like sick or
Watered down.
yeah,
Yes,
watered
very
down,
diluted.
watered down. But this, how he uses it here, is the old way of using it, which is like awesome, like to stand in awe, and like kind of a little bit of a, like kind of when the Bible talks about a fear of the Lord, it doesn't really, well, it kind of means like maybe a little bit of an actual fear, but it's more so talking about reverence, to stand in awe, to
Be still
recognize
and
the
know that I'm
glory and
God.
holiness of God, right?
Yeah.
And I really like the line where he talks about the Lord wasn't joking when he kicked him out of Eden. Because why were they kicked out of Eden? Because he's an awesome, holy God. They had just sinned. Sin had entered the world. The fall just occurred. And God cannot be around the presence of sin. He is an awesome, holy God. And that's one of those lines that I love, like biblical references in songs that you haven't heard be referenced a million times. Like there's a bunch of Psalm 23 type songs, but lyrics like this, he wasn't joking when he kicked him out of Eden. You never hear that in a modern CCM song, probably not. So I really love his usage of that. And once again, how it just complements the message of the song, how he's an awesome, holy God that should not be watered down like a lot of Christian songs do nowadays. He is holy. He is to be revered and feared and respected. He's not just like, it's not, his name is not just some word to use in vain when you stub your toe or something. Like,
Amen.
amen.
So let me, before you go to that next part there, that next verse, Ryan, who do you guys think of first when you think of Rich Mullen? Who's the next person that comes to your mind?
Steve Green.
Yes. Yes. Those two men had a really strong walk with the Lord that you don't find too often in today's culture. And it's interesting that God took them both
Yeah,
at such a young age. Yeah. And Rich Mullen,
I believe he died in 1997.
man, I was thinking it was before that.
I don't
But
remember.
I don't remember. It was a head-on accident when he died.
Was it really?
Yes. You should read up on it. But the reason I bring this out is Ryan makes a really excellent point about the use of language in that song, and it's very strong. Steve Green was the same way, and the palpableness.
Just phonics.
Phonics. That's all it is. You could feel their music when they sang it, and this song here especially by Rich Mullen, I would totally concur with. Keep going, Ryan. I just thought it was really unique how the first person I think of when I think of Rich Mullen is Steve Green.
All right, now let's get into the chorus here. Very simple little chorus. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God.
Simple.
Very,
Yes.
very
But good.
simple little chorus.
But good.
But
Holy,
good.
holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. The earth is filled with his glory. Is simple as well.
Amen.
Yes. And then verse 2 here, this is the last slide for this segment. A bit of a short and sweet song review today. But when the sky was starless and the void of night, he spoke into the darkness and created the light. Talking about his sovereignty over creation. He spoke and it was. Judgment and wrath he poured out on Sodom. never hear that get talked about in a song.
Mm-hmm.
Mercy and grace he gave us at the cross. I hope that we have not too quickly forgotten that our God is an awesome God. Once again, just kind of like the first verse, I especially like his mention of judgment and wrath he poured out on Sodom, because once again, that's a line you're not going to hear really in a lot of modern fluffy Christian music. But I just really love that line, because why did God have to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? That wasn't a rhetorical question. I'm actually asking.
Well,
Because
couple
of their
things.
sin.
There's an issue of God's holiness, but I think it's
Right.
actually more practical. I'm sorry, STDs are really simple to avoid. Don't put that thing there, and don't do it a bunch of times.
Well, there,
And
it
if you
goes
destroyed
deeper.
the human race with sexually transmitted diseases before Christ could come with asocial behavior, you would not have a redeemer and the timing and planning of God. I am totally just circumventing the issue of the holiness of God right now, just from a practical reason. I can argue from the holiness of God, believe you me.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, imagine Jesus is born with AIDS. That would actually damage the prophecy that he would be the spotless lamb.
Mm-hmm.
God had to protect the bloodline, and he had to protect humanity from itself.
Yes.
There are some behaviors that naturally destroy society. And I'm not saying that out of hate. I'm not saying that out of anger or wrath. But
Practicality.
But practically speaking, God is the designer of the universe. It is a moral issue because God said so. It is also a practical issue. The blender manufacturer said, don't put your fingers in it and use it in the bathtub. You can call him intolerant when you lose your fingers and electrocute yourself to death. It was not the blender manufacturer's fault for you doing dumb things with his creation. It is not God's fault when you have STDs. It is man's choice. I think Sodom and Gomorrah had to
I think
go.
though it's way deeper than that, and the reason I say that is because
Like I said, I went to the
You went to the
smallest
extreme
I went to the
practicality.
extreme
one thing
practicality.
I'd
of part of
always
this
like to look
argument.
into more of is what God said is that there's sin calls to me. I mean, it was like there's something going on, and it was creating quite a
A spiritual uproar.
Yes,
Because it
yes,
wasn't because it wasn't
that's-
homosexuality per se that was the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah. It was
Pride.
it's pro-
it's pride
In what
and
they
it
were
was-
doing.
It was rape. I'm sorry, like just
Well-
people. It was there was so much evil going on. God had to say, "I am still just.
Men
I am still
raping
just."
other men, boys.
and women. And you look at the story in Leviticus 19, you see almost the Israelites play out almost the exact same story, and you see the concubine of the Levite get taken and basically abused until she dies. That activity, God sees that. He sees the innocent. He sees the cries of the innocent. And at some point, the not author, source of justice must speak. Not because he decides to, because he must. He can decide to as well. God has agency. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Out of his nature, he will speak, and he will be heard. He will be right. And so God will do righteousness by the end of time. Sometimes we force his hand, and he has to do it a lot sooner because it's just that bad.
I think with, Rich Mullen, I would encourage people to look up some of his videos on YouTube. I'm hoping they're still there. He had an absolute gift of truly making music. And when I say that, folks, I'm not saying that from the perspective of what we hear today. I mean, his music was unique.
It was.
It truly unique. And there's one song that he did, the submarine. Absolutely cool.
Or in a submarine.
Yeah, if you can find that one on YouTube, you want to watch that because it involves, 4 people, cups, clapping and obviously the melody. And it was one of the it was one of the most unique performances I've ever seen, and it had a great message to it. If you can find that one, look it up. But Rich Mullen, truly a gift, truly a gift. And by the way, I know a lot of people have discussed his theology and whatnot. I will say this: I don't have to line up 100% with somebody that loves Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone's theology is screwed up at some place. Rich Mullen loved Jesus.
He did.
Period.
Our good friend Winston Powers actually sent me a Rich Mullins video, where he was singing and speaking at some church like years ago, and he there were some things he was talking about that I'm like, I'm not sure I agree with that, but that's an interesting perspective.
Right.
But you could also see his love,
his passion,
his love, and for Jesus just shine through.
And that is exactly why I think of Steve Green, because Steve Green had that exact kind of passion for Jesus that it just oozed out of them.
So I go to Philippians 1:15, where it says, "Some indeed preach Christ even of envy and strife, and some of good also of goodwill. The one preach Christ of contention, not sincerely, supposing to add affliction to my bonds, but the other of love, knowing that I am set for the defense of the gospel. What then? Notwithstanding, every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is preached, and I therein do rejoice, yea, and will rejoice."
Amen.
That is the
Amen.
attitude that we're called to. God's word doesn't return void, and I think when sincerely delivered, and by the way, this is why I'm very cautious about talking about other denominations in a negative way, such that there's good theology, there's bad theology, but be cautious. Christ preached, crucified, died, and buried. Baptism, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. One faith, one baptism. We are close enough to represent Christ together. We can differ. We can have those conversations. But my gosh, we should love each other as Christ did.
And
Good
one more
stuff.
thing about Rich Mullins that I learned about when talking to Winston, and I researched this and found it to actually be true, is that he would, when he got paid for his songs, he would only take enough money to like provide for himself, and the rest of it he would give it to charity.
Yeah.
That was just amazing to me.
Yep.
He only took what he needed.
Great Christian.
Indeed.
Yes. Yeah.
Final thoughts, Miss Nikki?
I guess the big story today about Lindsay is there's a lot of women that say, well, I can relate. I remember having these emotions and these feelings. You didn't act on them. And there's always right and there's always wrong. And I think we should be compassionate to try to help in the future. But let's not forget about justice for the children.
Yeah.
We can't just say, it's okay. It's not her fault.
You cannot sweep it under the rug.
You can't, you just can't do that. It'll cause so much chaos.
Justice must
Amen.
be served.
Amen.
Steve, final thoughts for the day.
Yeah, the same with this Lindsay case. I think she needs to have justice served. She may have some mental problems, but still justice needs to be served. It's just it's three kids, little kids.
15 minutes of strangulation. I'm sorry. I don't care. I don't care what state you're
exactly.
in. You're guilty.
It's three little kids.
Charlie.
I wish I could have been here for this segment. I will say this. I cannot help but totally 100% agree with what Nikki just said, that you cannot sweep that under the rug. And the only other thought I would contribute to this is this one. If you're not going to find her guilty, there are some doctors that somebody needs to be found guilty for this. This is unacceptable, period. And this goes down for all the other cases that we want to talk about over the last 50 years that have been similar to this. This is a slippery slope that you walk down when you start sweeping stuff like this under the rug. God help our country if we come to that point.
Final thoughts, Mr. Producer, 30 seconds.
I really agree with Mr. Charlie. Like that story with that lady strangling her 3 kids, that's just unacceptable. And I think she should really be put to death. Obviously, as you said, John Arthur, give her time to get right with God and everything. But this stuff used to surprise me, the death penalty. But you look in the Old Testament, like God takes the death of children very seriously.
Yeah.
Like it's a very serious crime, very serious thing in God's eyes. And like you say, John Arthur, all the time, like the more and more I see the evil in this world, the more and more I just agree with the God's methods in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
The death penalty and everything. And that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah.
Absolutely. I would say this, no wonder we have a nation that is celebrating the death of these kids as an opportunity to focus on oneself when we have abortion.
Yep.
Infanticide has been around for a long time. Now it's just happening outside the womb. Pray for our nation. Pray for your own soul. Look to God. Be a good light this week. And be ready with a winsome response to whether it's Karmelo Anthony, whether it's Lindsay, whether it's someone else or something else, the British issue. Make sure that you're walking with God so that you are a sharp tool in the hands of the Master to bring about salvation and more knowledge of Christ to others. With that, we got everything else for you. You have a beautiful week.
God bless.